have. Welcome back to chapter 3. As everybody joins us, I'm gonna go over my notes. Not to dominate the space by any means, but kind of just get the conversation going. This is a space to have a rich conversation, answer questions, get engagement, inject your thoughts, your unique stories, beliefs, whatever, wherever this flows. So I'll kind of get the ball rolling. Something that was talked about very early on in this chapter is how our most valuable resource is our time and our energy. I would 100% agree with that. And I think that we lose sight of that through busyness, right? Putting out all the fires and busyness, whatever that is for us. I know that that's different seasons of my life. Busy look different. And then also something that I wrote down is what happens when we try to control other people's behaviors. What ends up happening is we get stressed out about it, right? What happens when we wish things were different, right? Wishing, desiring, craving, wanting to bend reality to look our way, right? Obsessing over how we want things to be different, to be like we want them to be. Desiring leaves us feeling powerless, right? I posted a post today talking about that at a little deeper level. But when we feel powerless, we end up going into what she talks about. She talks about survival brain, the amygdala. I know that first responders, they've done studies on first responders and people that have high adrenaline rush jobs. First responders were, I think, a segment that they really looked at, but like the ER, I consider people in the ER and that segment of the medical field as first responders with law enforcement and firefighters and those type of individuals, but their amygdala is larger. They've done studies on it, and they are operating out of that side of their, or that portion of their brain more than the average. In coaching, I talk about it as left brain versus right brain and make it real simple. And honestly, when you really understand when you're operating from the left side versus the right side, you almost, when you move between the two, you can almost feel it. And some of the language I use with a lot of my clients I work with long term and over when we go deeper is I tell them to move towards a good feeling. And Mel talks about that a lot in her book about the feeling when she uses the let them theory and let me. She talks about the feeling of the freeing feeling, this feeling of relaxing, this feeling of letting go. She talks about it using all different kinds of language, but to me, that's really about standing in your own power. It's really finding that center, that grounding, and a million different words could be used. When we allow tiny inconveniences, such as a long line in the coffee shop she talked about, I love stories, and I really find stories really help with my clients as well. Stories and metaphors. I try to use my clients' metaphors. So when they say, oh, it feels like I'm snowballing, or it feels like waves crashing over me, I try to stick with their metaphor if I can. Sometimes that's a little challenging, but I love metaphors. But I love the coaching story or the coffee shop story that she talked about ruining her day or week, her month, overshadowing everything. It just really, it's that mushroom cloud, right? It just like comes over everything, overshadows the beauty around us. It takes us out of the present moment. It takes us into our brain, overanalyzing, overthinking, and creating meaning and pain and agony in our world and our experience. So instead of focusing on controlling the people, places, things, situations, and circumstances around us and wishing things were different, it's a redirect. Moving our energy, shifting our focus on what we can control. And we talked about this, I think, in the first chapter. We can't control our thoughts, right? I gave that scenario. We can't control our thoughts, but what we can control, what we can do is we can command our thoughts. We can shift to what is within our power, right? And actions and reactions. Mel says over and over and over again, when we try to control other people, we lose our power. So again, she uses similar language. It's understanding what this means in your own life in real time, right? We can logically read a book, read a quote, hear someone say something and nod our head. Yep, I agree. But that doesn't mean you really understand it. It's really about applying it in your own life. So in this chapter 3, she talks about looking at the small inconveniences in your life first and tackling those, right? Learning how to take those opportunities where the line is really long, or someone cuts you off in traffic, or someone cuts in front of you in line at the grocery store, or you get some annoying text from someone. You know, these little things, if we can learn to use the let them theory or any other strategy to, in real life, in real time, and have what I like to call that out of body experience. And I'll give us a story here in just a second where I've had a real big experience of that. But when we have inconveniences that happen in our life and we kind of step back and step out of our body and look down on it and go, from my old wiring, from my old blueprint, from my old tendencies, from my old way of doing things, I would react like this. I would snap back at that person. I would deal with this in maybe an irrational or rash way, learning to take that small inconvenience and go, how can I respond differently? How can I viscerally understand that I have power over my mood, my energy, and how I want to feel? When we really stand back and see it in our own life in real time, that's when we shift. That's when we reassure our brain and our nervous system that we are okay, that we're taking control of our life. We're literally putting our hands on the steering wheel and moving into a space of directing how we feel in that moment. So using the let them theory to soften, that's the word she used, soften your shift and focus on protecting your mental, emotional, and physical energy. Again, some of these words she uses, some of them I use in my coaching, so I'm just kind of interchanging and mix word soup today.
Word soup.
So restraining from commiseration, right? Restraining from pointing out who's right, who's wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Taking sides only reinforces that belief that outside of us, those things that are people, places, things, situations, and circumstances can make us feel angry, make us feel agitated, make us feel annoyed, mad, upset, frustrated, or even the good stuff, right? So if we again believe that when we get on a scale in the morning, and if the scale goes down, the scale is going to make my day. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be in a good mood. I'm going to feel good today. And believing that that scale has that power over you, you also believe that that scale, when it goes up, it's going to make you mad. It's going to ruin your day. It's going to ruin your mood, your energy, etc. That's an illusion. It's a slippery slope. It's a thing that it's a belief. It's a story. It's an illusion that is seductive. And also, I believe we are conditioned to believe. I think it really feeds into consumerism. Nothing against it, but it's the way it is. So when we believe that there's an illusion, that there's something outside of us that can impact us emotionally and steal our peace of mind, we become a prisoner to all those things. So if we start to believe that they have this power over us to make us happy or sad, that's the slope of suffering. And I think we've all met somebody that is constantly blaming and complaining that they make me feel, that job makes me feel, this town makes me feel, and they're suffering. They don't realize they're doing it, but that's what they're doing. I love the quote of Epictetus. I'm very big into Stoicism. It's kind of one of my secret things that I love to binge watch, listen, soak up. Because Stoicism is one of those things that it's like poetic, and you can read a quote and it doesn't make sense, in 2022, and I could read it today and I could go, oh my gosh, that's mind blowing. That makes total sense. But I love Stoicism because as I grow, as I evolve and learn more, I understand what their come from is different. But one of them is that was stated in the book was not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. I would change one word. I would change react to respond. When I coach my clients, I use the language of react is working from an old blueprint, from old wiring, from bad habits almost, in essence. Reaction is not thinking, and it's just quickly reacting in a way without much thought, and oftentimes has a lot of regret or guilt or shame later. I believe in responding is really being able to slow down and respond from your values, your morals, your principles, what you stand for, what you believe in. So response is a little bit of a different language I would use. So it's learning how to respond differently to an average everyday life, right? Those little annoyances, those little inconveniences in any situation that you may be confronted by. I'm almost done, guys. Going through all my notes. So realizing that we are given 100% battery charge every morning. That is if you get a good night's sleep, and honoring your sleep in a way that you prioritize it. I didn't always believe into that, but now I do. I have for many years and reap the rewards. But when we have 100% battery charge, it's really about how much energy. So if we put our energy into those things that set us up for great success, right? So it's really looking at my day. What are the things that I need to really amplify my mental, emotional, and physical health, right? What are the things that I want to use my battery towards, and how much energy do I have left to put towards those hobbies, the people that I love, the things that I like to do, the fun things, the creative things, the enjoyable things. It's really seeing your life as a gift and choosing how to really program it and create routines and schedules that are doable, that really facilitate and continue to utilize that battery in a way, that charge, in a way that's fulfilling, that's meaningful and purposeful. A lot of people reach out to me because that's what they're wanting. They're wanting a life that they don't need a vacation from. They're wanting to create a life that they love, that they enjoy, that they don't need to set an alarm for, that they're excited to get out of bed. Instead of operating off of autopilot, you're being intentional every day. Okay. So I thought that I would share an example of kind of an out-of-body experience that I had. I was trying to think here, reading my notes, if there's anything else. So yes. And it really, and what sparked and reminded me of it was her airport example. I love the airport. I personally love going to the airport. I love being there early. I'm the type of person that loves people watching. I love airports that have fun foodie places to go into, but I love people watching. I love observing people. I'm the type of person that I think of the chairs as hot lava, so I get a lot of steps in too. I like to walk up and down the whole airport. I really love arriving early. I think airports are a mecca of people watching, and I just love watching people. So to me, it's kind of the beginning of the vacation for me. I've actually been to the airport a day early before. We got the calendars, we got all the kids put where they needed to go, and the pets and all the things. And my husband and I got to the airport a whole day early. And it was so funny. The gal at the counter was like, what do you guys want to do? And she looked in her computer and she's like, I can get you there. Same flight, same everything, no extra cost. I'm just going to swoosh you over if you want. And we didn't think about the hotel arrangement on the other side, but that was expensive. Anyways, we did it. So I actually love getting to the airport early. But think about my language too. The language that I speak, how I speak about going to the airport, what I believe, my stories that I wrap around the airport versus someone that would dread it, someone that would avoid it, ruminate over it, hate it, stress about it, be anxious about it, right? So this leads into my story, and I'll make it short so you guys can share as well. This was probably 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. We'll stick with 3 years ago. My oldest daughter, she's now 25. She told me, Mom, called me up. She lived a few miles away from me. Mom, I need you to take me to the airport on Saturday. Okay, what time? She's like, I'll be at your house at 10 a.m. Okay, I had to rearrange a few things on my schedule because it was very last minute. And I did it because I thought, the drive to the airport is about 45 minutes and I want to spend time with her. So I rearranged my schedule. 10 o'clock comes, she's not there. 10:05, 10:15, I start cleaning. I'm ready, I'm available, my time's blocked off. I just clean, 10:15, 10:30, 10:45, 11 o'clock. She pulls into my driveway. I'm like, okay, I have no idea her arrangements. Pulls into my driveway at about 11. She says hardly anything to me. I saw her pull in, so I just get in the car, got my purse, got my phone, got my whatever. And I'm driving. Like I said, it's about 30, 40 minutes drive with her. And I'm talking. She's saying very little. And she's just quiet, which is somewhat normal. Nothing unusual here. I drive the speed limit. We get to the light right before the airport. The airport's probably about a half mile away. At the red light, I'm stopped at the red light, waiting for the light to change. And she whips out her phone and she's frantically doing whatever. And she goes, I think I missed my flight. And I was like, oh? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, well, we're really close. Let's just go. Maybe they're late. Whatever. Drive it. I said, just leave your luggage in the car. Just run up there to the post and see. And she runs in and she's in there very short. There's no line. She's not in there very long. And then she runs back out. Tears are flowing. She gets in the car and she's mad. And she's like, I missed my flight and they won't let me on. And she's kind of talking like she was when she was like 6 years old. And I was like, okay. What do you want to do? And so she's like, just take me to your house. And she's on her phone, and I'm just quiet. And I drive her all the way to my house. And by the time we get to the house, she goes, I rearranged my flights. I'm leaving again at 3 o'clock. Okay. So I said, what time are you going to be here? And she's like, probably like 2:30. I was like, okay. So 2:30 rolls around. Same thing. I'm watching. I'm cleaning. I'm dusting. I'm wiping things down. 2:45, and here comes 3 o'clock, and she's right into the driveway again. Same thing over again. I'm like, are we gonna make it? She goes, I don't know, but just get me there. And I'm like, okay. So I drive, and I don't say a lot this time, and I'm kind of driving a little more frantically, and she goes, before we get there again, she's looking at her phone. I missed my flight. And I was like, well, just go in there. You never know. Just look cute and smile. She gets her weight quite a bit by doing that. If you've met my daughter, you would agree. So she runs in there, comes back, tears are flooding. Same thing. I mean, it's like Groundhog Day. Gets in my car, and I just sit there in park, car running, and I'm looking in the rearview mirror, watching for security because I'm right at the gate. They don't allow that anymore. So she's throwing her temper tantrum, upset, angry. I just want to walk right onto the plane. And I, in my head, said, woo, little princess wants to just walk onto the plane. And, but, a little bit that I do know about my daughter. I had a moment in my head that's like, I wanted to say, oh, you just want to be a princess and just walk onto the plane and everyone, just take you to your seat, right? I had that thought, said nothing. And then another thought went through my mind, and I know she's an anxious flyer. She's I have been on the plane with her before where she stood up screaming, "Why is everyone so calm?" And I had to calm her down and get her to sit back in her seat. She does have to take medication while flying. So it's I understand the fact that she did when she had her meltdown. I just held space for her and just listened. And she said, you know, a lot of things. And one of the things was, you know, I just want to walk on the plane. I don't want to sit there. I don't want to watch the plane because I sit there and I watch them. I analyze everything that they're doing. And are they doing it right? And is the pilot having a good day? And is he going to get me there safe? And I mean, she just spiraled, right? Just and just let it all out. And I just let her go and I let her go and let the tears dry up. And I waited until she became calm. And I simply said, "What would you like me to do? How can I make this easier for you? And what would you like me to do?" And she goes, calmly, "Just take me back to the house." Same thing, drive all the way home. She reschedules her flight for like 3 or 4 days later. And she stayed at my house that evening, played games, we laughed, we joked, we played, we were silly. What I will say to you is 15 years ago, I probably would have ripped her head off the first time that she missed her flight. I would have chewed her out, told her that I rescheduled my whole schedule, that what I did was, you know, for her, I would have made her feel bad. I would have made her feel guilty and bad for, you know, what this did. But as a result of me letting her process this in a way that she needed to learn her own way without me saying, "How dare you," or adding more to it, right? She was about 22. So it was just something I needed to let her learn and move through. Let her experience, let her learn, let her take responsibility, let her fix her situation, rebook her flights. I, in no way, shape, or form, told her what to do through this whole thing. Let her move through her feelings, let her feel safe, let her feel okay to tell me, "Mom, this stresses me out." Airport stress, which I already knew, but she felt safe to articulate it in full depth with me. So I feel like the last thing I'm going to say, and let you guys inject what you are learning so far, 1 through 3, is I think that the people that are in our life, brought into our life by, like my kids, you know, they're my kids. I brought them into this world, but the people that we choose to have in our life also teach us a lot if we're open to it and willing to see it, right? And be receptive to it. And so this was an example for me of responding to her. And as a result of responding to her, it opened up time and space to spend time with her, not only on those trips to the airport, which ended up being 3 total. She did make the 3rd flight, but I got to spend quality time with her. And then she spent that evening playing games and being silly, you know, childlike, and enjoyed dinner with us, versus reacting from old wiring, right? I used to believe that, you know, I don't know, I was a little righteous and a little ornery. But anyways, so yeah, take the little tiny stressors and little annoying things and respond differently is the big takeaway. So anybody want to speak up, just speak up, and I'd love to hear what you're learning, what insights you have from what I've said or chapter 1 through 3.
I had an airport, when you talk at the airport, and I'm an early person to the airport, like you, love to watch around, just the whole thing. People fascinate me. I'd rather relax, but I'm traveling with this good friend again next Tuesday, and she's chronically late. And last time, I only lived 20 minutes from the airport, from San Francisco airport. So I said, "Come spend the night with me. And therefore, we'll just take an Uber from here. It's quick, it's easy." She never showed. She never showed. She never showed. Midnight comes, she shows. And we have an 8 a.m. flight the next day. And I live with my boyfriend, and he was not happy. because his whole house is alarmed and everything, and so I didn't get upset. What I just said is, you're always welcome here, but you have to be here by 8 p.m. So now she meets me at the airport, and that works for her. And she's skidding in sideways
Yeah.
with her luggage. So it was huge for me to do that because I was so frustrated. But I later learned that's who she is. And she's a lovely person, but that's who she is. So I hope she shows up and we get on the flight. Because I already decided if she doesn't show, I'm not getting on that flight myself because we're going to Costa Rica and I'm not showing up all by myself.
That was my next question is if you're gonna let her show up and let her be so late that she doesn't get on the plane, what is your next step? So you answered
I
that.
have travel insurance, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I really wouldn't, because there's only one flight. We have to get that flight. We have to connect in LA. That's it. There's no other flights. That's how it is. So, and right now, you have to be there even earlier because of the long lines.
Oh yeah.
San Francisco's busy. I'm pre TSA. She's not. So we'll see. I'm trying to just be relaxed about it. I can't change it.
So Linda knows
I'll
that.
get there early and people watch.
So Linda knows that I will flag the word try.
I guess I
Okay.
do.
So what I heard, Julie, was you're gonna try to feel relaxed about it.
I am. When I say try, it's within myself. I will never say a word to her. I will just say, I hope you can be there. This is when I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Because we just need to make sure if the lines are long to get through TSA.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be really long.
Yeah.
So
So knowing that what is and isn't out of your control, right? What you can
right.
control is you're setting yourself up for success to get there on time. What, if anything, could you do that still keeps you in your power, right? We're not telling
Uh-huh.
people what to do. We're not dictating them, but what could you do that's within your power to help her set herself up for success, that to get on that trip together, get on that plane together?
Well, right now we're talking daily because we're just sorting through fine details. So I'm gonna invite her again to come spend the night and say 9 o'clock's okay, but after that, no, I'm an early to bed and an early riser. I mean, I'm out at not too long after that, but up before the sun rises.
Yeah.
So I'll again offer, and this, I don't know how else to go about it. I don't want, also again, just talk about, listen, I know people have been flying recently. It's a little longer to get through these lines.
Mhm.
So maybe tell her that I'll buy her a glass of bubbly if she can be there so we have time to sit down. That's an idea. I usually don't do
Yeah.
the airport, but she likes her bubbles, so
I love that idea because there's a reward for
I
her.
just thought of that as I was saying it. That's what I'll do because it would be so nice to get there early and relax and celebrate our trip that we've talked about for years going here.
Yeah,
So,
I love
okay.
that. I love that, Julie. Good plan. I love that. And again, that's not controlling, that's not dictating, that's
Mm-mm.
just really offering some sort of win or celebration for getting through security.
I know the frustration. And even for me too, I found with pre-TSA, sometimes I get stuck in as long a line.
Yeah.
It's what it is right now.
Mm.
So that's it. But I will enjoy the people. There's a lot of people.
Yeah. Anyone else have a share, or do you have anything further, Julie, that you want to add?
No, I'm really enjoying the book. As a matter of fact, I got two friends that I just met where I'm living now through a women's group who are now reading the book, and we get together, and of course we go all circles around everything else, and sometimes remember we're going to talk about the book too. They're reading it now. Which has been hard. I've been in a new community for a while. It's been really hard to meet people here. So it's just it's different from even where my sister and I grew up, very different.
Yeah, there's actually a chapter in the book that may or may not be helpful on that topic. Mel goes into it. I feel like the book was written with her daughter, and I feel like there's definitely pieces of it. I feel like Mel's trying to talk to multiple generations and make it to where it's applicable to individuals of all ages. And I felt like there is a chapter in there that talks about making friends, and it could apply to her daughter's age range and her. And she uses herself quite a bit in that section. But yeah, it is. I love how she simplifies it, makes it so simple to understand the reasons behind how it is a bit challenging to make friends. And yeah, so
It is. Well, the book's going with me, so.
Good.
Absolutely loved chapter 3. I think chapter 3 is my favorite. I listened to the whole thing ahead of time, and then I'm rereading it with the physical copy now. But I took a lot of notes for chapter 3, and there's a lot of things that I think I need to just apply to my life with stickies everywhere. But there's a lot of like just takeaways, like one-liners. Like I love releasing control I never had in the first place.
Yeah.
A lot of things about when we're in control, we believe we can protect ourselves from pain, disappointment, and rejection. This is an illusion, a fear that without me at the helm, things would unravel. A lot of things, maybe I'm a firstborn and I'm a law enforcement wife, but I just feel like I think that was the case and the whole world would unravel, and that's not the case at all. A lot of things about, just really trying to control it to give her this false sense of security that she was in control, and that was never the case. I took a lot of notes. I liked chapter 3 a lot. I also love the line of like, other people have no real power over you unless you give them that power. And I feel like this chapter is a lot about we give away, and maybe it is like Catherine said, societally, that's what we're taught, that we really seem to give our power to others and aren't taught to either get it back or regain it or be aware that we've given it away. So really realizing that your time and energy are your most valuable resources, like how you began, Catherine, but it really is about giving it away to others. And I think this book is talking about how to get it back because we have given it away. And my last part, I really start is like, not every conversation needs your participation. For me, I talk a lot, and I think that I like that a lot, that not every conversation needs your participation. So there's a whole bunch of more notes I took for chapter 3, but I really enjoyed this chapter a lot.
That's a beautiful share. Thank you for that, Shayna. Yeah, the standing in our own power, I really didn't understand what that meant, really, for most of my life. I don't think it didn't land for me. I don't know at what point that shifted, but I really feel like that's something you have to experience and know what that means. And right now I can't at the top of my tongue or head think of when that shifted or how I saw that differently. For me, I think a lot of it is through coaching. I hear it from other people giving their power away. Like for instance, I'll ask values, their personal values, and continue to build on and figuring out what 5 top values are for them. And it's interesting, when I first start working with someone that's very people pleasing, I'll just ask them out of the blue, what are some of your values, and maybe if they're not sure what a value is describe it. And what's interesting is those that have nurses or people that really pour into people, or mothers that have been mothers for decades, for instance, those in the service industry, nurses, all that. Interestingly enough, all their values are serving others related, like all their validation and worth is in how other people perceive them, right? Feeling loved will be a value that they'll say. Appreciated, respected. So it's like, it's interesting that they come up with these words that are all really driven externally in. And something I talk about a lot in conversation, not really necessarily in coaching, is I love the show Alone. And I think I mentioned this to Linda a lot, but I love the show Alone, because the show Alone, in a nutshell, is 10 individuals dropped off in the middle of nowhere, and they have to survive off of the earth. Like, they have to find food, make a shelter, find water. They have to live the longest out of these 10 people, and they win a bunch of money, right? And like this most recent one that I watched in Australia, interestingly, what I found fascinating is all 10 of these individuals that were on the show, when those stages, the first 5, and I don't want to tell you the whole show because I don't want to be a spoiler alert, but what I found interesting on this show particularly, and I was more keen on it, is when they pulled out the family photo. They're allowed to take one photo with them. And I always joke, my husband is very outdoorsy, and I always joke that I'm going to send him off on this show. And I told him, after watching this season, you do not take a photo of me when you go on the show. I joke as if he's going to go. But anyways, the first 5, let's say, as soon as they pulled out their family photo, whether it be day 1 or day 20, whatever it was, they were out within 24 hours. And what that tells me, and the language that they use and how they spoke and what they reminisced on, and then they started to ruminate on, was that, and they started the show, those 5 individuals roughly started the show with extrinsic motivation. They were extrinsically motivated to win this show. I'm going to win this for my kids. I'm going to win this for my wife. I'm going to win this for my community. I'm going to use this money to invest in my community. All 5 of these had extrinsic motivation. And as soon as they pulled that photo out, they crashed, right? It's not sustainable anymore. It's not sustainable to do something that hard, that brutal, that challenging when you're doing it for someone else. When they saw that photo, all of a sudden their talk, their language, their motivation, their drive went downhill within 24 hours, and they tapped out. They have this little phone that they can call, and someone can come and save them. But all of them, as soon as they saw that photo, they started to go, they will understand. They will still love me. They will still believe in me. It was fascinating to me. So when we are the people that won, or there's only one person that won, but I don't want to give it away. The people that won or went the furthest distance didn't do that. They really stayed very intrinsically motivated, meaning they really became very present, very grounded. They take each moment with gratitude and appreciation for any food that they found, any water that they found. They had just deep gratitude for what the earth or universe or God, whatever they believed in, supplied them. They believed deeply within their soul, within their bones, that they were meant to be there, that they were meant to learn, they were meant to grow, they were meant to evolve, they were meant to learn more about themselves that they could ever learn in the busy world of all the noise and all the demands and all the chaos. That they really leaned into the silence, they leaned into the quiet, and being able to process and move through those voices, those inner voices, the saboteurs, whatever you want to call them. And they took the opportunity to expand, grow. And one person kept saying at the introduction, we're all going to leave different people. We're all going to come into this as a certain person, and we're all going to leave a different person. She worded it some way like that, but that, I mean, rang true for everyone. Everyone entered the show as a certain type of person or human being with values and principles and morals. And when they left, they all left a different person. Everything shifted, everything moved. They had such deep appreciation for all the modern conveniences and all the, how things are so easy, right? I mean, you can push a couple of buttons and get 4,000 calories delivered to your door and eat them in 15 minutes, right? We have such an easy way of living, and you go out there and you really realize how good we have it. So anybody else want to share? We've got like 20 minutes.
I liked the chapter of own your reactions, take your power back. That was very front and center for me, especially right now, because I think we put so much expectation on ourselves. If we don't perform at work, if we don't perform as a mother, if we don't perform as a wife, as a sibling, as so many things out there, that we are letting somebody down, and we're giving ourselves and our power away by doing that. And I can say I was very reactionary. That's how I coped. That's how I learned. That's what I thought, was normal. And Julie can relate to this. We're sisters. We hated each other when we were growing up. But now we're going through a journey, dare I say, in our 60s. And and we're learning so many new skills about how to be in our life and own our happiness and not let outside forces take that from us. And, growing up, you do something naughty, you're scolded, and why did you do that? And why do you feel that way? And, you're molded into, what should be or what your parent thinks is acceptable behavior. Julie and I had a situation a few years back where our father died, and his current wife found out he left us a life insurance policy, very small. I mean, it was so small, but it really meant a lot to my sister and I. And what we got out of that was an absolute angry, we were attacked and told we should give that to said person. So Julie and I struggled over that, and we wanted to react, and our mother told us, take the high road. And we're like, damn it, no, we don't want to take the high road. But we did. We took the high road, and we talked a lot about it afterwards, and we felt so much. There was hurt, but we felt so much better by not giving that power away to that person who was so angry at us. So, learning how to manage that, and it is learning and following through every time. and falling off the horse and getting back up and trying again. And so that was really powerful for me. I'm, as Catherine knows and my sister knows, I'm being asked to give my power away by my employer as I'm going through a health issue. And I finally pushed back and said, no, this is what I can do for you. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a take it or leave it yet, but it's okay. I'm okay with that. I feel good.
Yeah.
They're not going to take that from me.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I love that chapter. I love that part.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing those.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of juicy parts in there, and I think the thing that stood out to me the most, and something that I heard it before, but I heard it this last week, so I figured I'd share it with you, is when someone gets angry at me, it says more about them than it does me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what is fueling that anger? What is fueling them to say and do and act the way they are, right? So some people, emotionally, intelligence wise, are all the way back to sixth grade. They haven't evolved past sixth grade. They got in autopilot at sixth grade and they're just coasting through life
Mm-hmm.
based on what they learned in their household. So sometimes, like my daughter that threw the temper tantrum, like she really truly acted like she did when she was 6 years old. I was like, and I wasn't going to bring that to her attention at that time. Doesn't read the room, Catherine. That's not a time. But you know, people that get angry and upset and mad and frustrated, you know, what is that person, your father's wife at that time, what is she thinking and believing that creates that much anger, right? And we may never know, and it may not be someone that we can ask, and that's okay. What I wish I would have known that in my 20s
Mm-hmm.
and understood it, understood it
Right.
really from that perspective, because I used, in my 20s, I for sure, I did not want to upset anybody at all. I didn't want to rock the boat, not
Right.
at all. I would be a chameleon and try to make the peace and try to make everything around me. If everyone around me was happy, then I was happy. That is such a toxic, terrible, horrible way to live, because at the end of the day, I'm not managing my own feelings. I'm believing that when everybody's happy around me, then I'm happy.
Right.
That's not possible. I do not have that strength, nor that power, nor that bandwidth, nor that energy to manage other people's feelings. That's their responsibility. So I think
Right.
that's the standing in my power that I really didn't understand till my mid 30s, is understanding that standing in my power means really managing my mental, emotional, and physical health. That's it. Me. Because when I manage my own mental, emotional, and physical health, I show up as an amazing mother, right? Because just like my daughter's experience at the airport, again, I would have been reactive years before because I did not believe in sleep. Like I fought my natural circadian rhythm. I'm like, I'll stay up as late as I can because I love these hours where the kids are asleep. I love this peaceful time. I didn't hydrate. I didn't believe in water unless it was ran through coffee beans. I believe people that had a gym membership were idiots. That's a waste of time and money. I had so many terrible beliefs back then that now, knowing what I know, and I wish I would have known all this back in my 20s again, is when I prioritize my mental, emotional, and physical health, like really taking care of feeding myself properly and setting that up days in advance, hydration, working out, and doing those things that I learn and grow every day and evolve and become a more understanding of how we human beings function. Like I said, I love people watching. I love the show Alone, just to see the psychology of people, and just go deep in those things that I am incredibly passionate about. Fitness, same thing. I went crazy deep on that. So it's really what's my passions? What's my joy? What are the things that give me fulfillment, meaning, and purpose? And how can I make an impact on those people that come my way? Right. And knowing when I set up my day, when I set up my week, I have boulders in my schedule, and nothing moves those boulders. Those boulders are my bumpers, my protection of my mental, emotional, and physical health. And everything else can fall in between the cracks or not. It's a no. But yeah, I think it's really about really understanding when people get angry and upset, it's means nothing about me.
Right.
You know, and they may say something, and I think I shared that last week, is, you know, Catherine, you're rude. And I could truly go, wow, okay. Apparently something I did or said was rude. Could you share more detail for me so I can fall on a sword and apologize or fix this, correct this, or moving forward, not appear to be so rude? You know, for me, it's really about asking questions and being curious, and they may have nothing to say. They may just slam the door on me, and that's okay too. I don't know what's going on in their world, and it's not for me to fix or change or repair. I think Mel talks about that ad nauseum in many different ways of how we just if we just focus on our own happiness, what that means for us, how to, and just focus on us. Like everything else seems so much easier. And then you'll start to see people, be around people that are out there fixing and managing and trying to do everything, right? Just
Right.
you'll see it more,
Right.
and you'll go, huh, is that what I looked like before?
Control, control, control.
Wanting
Well,
to
it's kind of like the air when you're on an airplane and they say put your own oxygen mask on first and then you can take care of your kids or whatever, you know. So I do love that about you, Catherine. You're really good about self-care and you've taught me a lot about that. I don't think I have ever been happier since I started really prioritizing self-care. I wasn't used to it because I have 6 kids and I always put them first. And and it really honestly you have to, and it just feels so good. I get up and I hike with some friends and then we go to hot yoga, and then I just come home and I feel so good that I've done that and started the day with that. It really feels good. I also wanted to point out that anger is never a first emotion. There's always something that precedes anger, whether it be disappointment or hurt or what are some of the other things that can precede anger, and then anger pops in there. So when somebody is angry with you, really and truly, it often is not you. And I'm really learning a lot about that, when somebody's pointing a finger at you, they've, of course, you've heard this before, but they have 3 fingers pointing back at themselves and they're projecting. And so it's nice. What I loved so much about this book, Let Them, is I would take everything so personally if someone was upset with me.
Yeah.
And I would think, what did I do? And I mean, it's okay to be introspective and hope that you didn't do anything to hurt someone deliberately or, whatever. But a lot of times when people are angry or upset, it's just things that are going on within them and they want to project onto someone because they don't want to take a look in the mirror. And so, I really appreciate Catherine doing this book club because I think this is one of the best books I've ever read. And when I brought it to her, she's like, I love it too. And I try to listen to just a little bit, at least every day, to just remind me to let people, it just is so refreshing to just let people live their lives and you live your best life. I love that. I'm not nearly as hurt when someone is criticizing me. It doesn't affect me nearly as much anymore as before I started coaching with Catherine. I was so hurt every time someone was upset. It's so funny. And now I just look at them like, I wonder what's going on with them. It's so refreshing. It's so healing.
I love that. Thank you for sharing, Kim. That was really rich and beautiful. I 100% agree with your comment about anger. I have a quote that says, blame is the fuel to anger.
Well, I love Catherine because she's just so right on in her coaching, and so I was being the victim one day, and she said, and I always say, okay, give it to me 10. I'm here for 10. And she says, all I hear is um blame, and what was the other word?
Complaining.
Complaining. Yeah. And I thought, what are you talking about? This is reality. This is reality. And that was my first thought. But that one sentence taught me so much, because here's the deal. Whenever you blame or judge anyone, your husband, your kids, your friends, your neighbor, you instantly cut off the relationship. You cannot be a friend or have a relationship when you've got blaming and judging in your head. It stops the relationship instantly.
Yep.
And so once I learned that, I thought, you know what? This is why I think I make friends so easily, is because when I meet people, I'm never blaming or judging or criticizing. I really am interested in getting to know people right away. And so I make friends really easily. But I realized that in intimate relationships, when you blame or criticize, it's over. And you have to have compassion and caring in order for that relationship. And this is what Catherine always says is, have curiosity. Where's your compassion? Think about it from their side and their view. And instantly those walls drop and that relationship can thrive. That's something great, really great I've learned from Catherine, and I don't think she teaches it so much in this book. She's more like let them, but that's another step, is let them, let me, and then we added another one, let God. So we kind of do that 3-part.
Yeah, it's so funny what's interesting is with clients when they come to me and they're just spiraling, right? And just barfing out and venting all the things. They don't hear the blame and complain. And me too.
No,
right?
they don't.
I didn't either.
don't.
Yeah, they don't hear it. Right. I joke that, and this is true. This is really true. I used to come home and I thought it was a competition of who had the worst day. And I'm going to tell you, I had the worst day. And here's my stories. Oh, yeah, you think that was bad? I had it worse, and just more blame and complain. And and it got old.
But I mean, in a relationship where someone really is doing something to hurt you, you think it's okay to say, okay, well, you kind of go into a victim role, right? You're still blaming and complaining.
Yeah.
That was a new thing. I can't, the relationship's not going to continue as long as I'm blaming and complaining. It's over.
The Four Horsemen study of the apocalypse, I think. I always remember just the Four Horsemen, but I know that it's criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Those are the 4. If that is in your relationship, there was a marriage studied, I think, over 30 years. It was a big study. It was studying I forget how many hundreds of relationships, but anyways, if any of those 4 things were present in the marriage, they would be divorced within 2 years. So criticism, right? Criticizing, holding in contempt, really, again, I think criticism and contempt kind of are similar in the way that, I'm better than you, I'm right, you're wrong in the relationship. Defensiveness, I think, is probably the most common thing that I hear in a lot of relationship coaching. And the metaphor that I've been using a lot lately is, in the conversations that are going on, and I always ask for a scenario, give me a context, give me a story, go, back to when it started. And it usually is this metaphor of, okay, sounds like someone grabbed a hold of the rope and yanked on it, and they yanked on it as well at the same time. And, so when we're defending ourselves and proving that I'm right, you're wrong, when we're yanking on that rope, tug of war, no one's going to win, right? So it's learning how to be able to set down the rope and with curiosity, ask questions on what they are thinking and believing, right? What are you thinking and believing about this situation? What is it that you want me to know so I can see your vantage point, see your perspective. I want to hear your opinions. I value you. You are important to me. What is going on? What is upsetting you? Or how can I understand? Stonewalling, really shutting down, closing off, blocking, not talking. Usually stonewalling will come in later in the conflicts in the relationship. Avoidance is probably a bigger, it might be seen earlier. And I guess that's kind of along the lines of stonewalling, but that is an interesting study that's talked a lot about in all types of relationship coaching or psychology. And if you're into that, learning about that, and it's not in a way of looking for it, because that is destructive to a relationship. What I really point my clients to in any relationship, whether it be your partner in life, your spouse, your relationship with your kids, or your relationship with your friends or neighbor, it's really, focusing in on what you love, appreciate, admire, that you're inspired by, with deep fascination. What do they know that they can teach you? So it's really focusing in on that piece versus, okay, let me get my glasses on and start looking for how my husband is stonewalling me today. Or what is the word that's being used a lot on social media? It's a red flag when they, what is it called?
Silent treatment.
Something light, something light you.
Oh, gaslight.
Gaslighting. Yes.
Kidding.
That is
Yeah.
being used a ton lately in the social media space.
That's been
Just
used for a
unfortunate.
long time. Yeah. One thing I just want to add before we go is something that I really have learned, and I think it has been through coaching, is when someone would criticize me, I would instantly get defensive. I think that's a natural
Mhm.
thing for people to do. And that immediately puts up a wall too. And then it can spiral into all kinds of, negative things. But now my sister taught me this actually, and it's just to instantly say, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. And now we can for opening up that dialogue. When would you like to talk about this? Is now a good time? Or, and instantly you'd be so surprised how the walls just come down.
Yeah.
Instantly they're like, wow, she is really mature. She really cares. Maybe I don't have so many criticisms after all. And it's just been magic. I've been using it lately all the time, just immediately. Oh, thank you. And I don't mean it negative. I don't want it to sound sarcastic. It has to be, thank you. I really appreciate that, and for opening up the dialogue. When would you like to talk about that? And it's amazing. It's so great. And I just don't have, I feel like it really takes some humility to do that, but it really works.
What a great line. I love that. And what
Mhm.
it says to me is you heard them.
Yes. And also, you don't have to like apologize and agree. It's not like you're saying, okay, I agree with you, which I've gone to that too, trying to make peace. Oh, I'm sorry, and apologizing for things I didn't do. You're just saying, thank you for the feedback. I'm really curious to how you feel, and let's talk about it. And I can't believe how much it works. It's every time, 100%.
Love it. I'm going to try it. My husband. Just kidding. He is my guinea pig. I have
Try
constantly,
it this week. Everybody try it this week and see how amazing it works.
the statement "you could be right" is a household statement now, and the new one is I could be wrong. Again, it doesn't say that I'm wrong, and neither one of them do, so it's just funny, and we laugh and we play with things like that, and just to see where it goes. But hey guys, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see everyone.
Nice to see everyone. Thank you for your
Yeah.
shares, and I'll see you guys next week.
Right.
It's on Tuesdays now at 4?
Always has been. Yes.
I'll be in
I thought it was
Costa
Thursdays.
Rica.
Yeah, have fun in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I'll miss the next 2 Tuesdays because I'll be not back till the Wednesday.
Fully understand. We record them, so if you
Oh,
want to
good.
watch-
I'll do,
Yep.
yeah. Awesome.
Have a safe
Thank you.
trip. I hope you get on the
Okay.
plane.
Me too.
All right,
I'll have
bye-bye.
bubbly for
Bye.
her.
Yes.
Go
I love
go
that idea.
early.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.